Hello everyone, welcome back to Why Not Tuesdays. Actually on a Tuesday for the first time in quite a few weeks, I think. I actually have time this Tuesday to sit down and make a video for all of you wonderful viewers. So, news with me. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this past weekend were the first three preview performances for the $1 Million Quartet out at the Old Log Theater, and they all went very well. We had great audiences all three of those days, very full houses, and they all responded very well to the performances. After each of those shows, we've changed little things here and there, which is exactly what these previews are supposed to be for. Now that we have the audience, their participation back and forth with applauses and laughter hasn't created any issues. I don't know why I'm going down that path. But actually seeing that now, there have been a couple slight changes made because of that. Some audience interaction as well has changed a couple things. And then also the director is just changing some things that needed to change. And he's just been able to see it more and more and more, which always offers opportunity to say, oh, that's been going on for like 2 months, but this needs to be slightly different type of thing. So changes for the better, and it's all great. All simple stuff. Our critiques have all been very tiny for the last week, which is great because it's not like, the day before the first performance and we're wildly having to be like, you really need to crack down on your stuff, because everybody's been doing a fantastic job of that ahead of time. And the performances all went very well. The audience has liked it all 3 of the days, and I think that's going to continue for throughout the entire run. 7 months is a really long time to be playing 5 shows a week of the same material over and over again. But I'm really optimistic because the play is really fun, and the music is really fun. And as we get more comfortable with it, one side is that it'll become a little bit more boring. But that also means that we can maybe take some creative license with some of the parts. Obviously, we're not going to change huge things, but I might change a drum fill here or there just because I'm tired of using that one. Let's use this one instead for the next week type of thing. And the bass player, the guitar players will probably do some of the same. But so it's going to be a long time to play the same thing, but at least it's a good show. There are far worse shows that I could be stuck playing for 7 months. I have continued working on my method book. I just started working on that again today. Yesterday I took a little time off because my weekend was insanely busy, so I just kind of rested a bit yesterday. And now today I started back with my book again. I added a dynamic section to my book that didn't really exist before, because I feel like it's a good idea to teach students, piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, and forte. I'm just covering those 4. I'm not going to triple forte or triple piano. Just being able to play those individually, and then going from one to the other, and then crescendos and decrescendos. And I think that's about as far as I'm going with that, but just that's a whole nother dynamic, dynamic of control that you learn. Because if you're always just playing, and if it just happens to be forte or mezzo forte or piano, then you're not really controlling that. So having to sit down and say, okay, these notes have to all be really quiet, then these notes have to be louder, and then these notes have to be louder than that, and controlling that, it's a whole nother thing to learn, which should be good for everyone involved. My reading section for the book is almost done going through this whole revamp that I've been talking about, this reformatting. I've got a lot of that material taken care of with reformatting. There was a bunch of material that I wanted to add in to these sections, mostly just extra little exercises within a section. So basically the book works like, here are your examples as 1 measure things. Now here's like a 4 measure or an 8 measure or a 12 measure compilation of those materials. And I've just added in some extra exercises for most of it. And then stuff like this dynamic stuff I'm creating brand new. And most of the reading section now is filled out to where I think I want it, at least for the time being. I'll revisit everything later, just as another, editing process. But once the reading section gets completed, then I'm hopeful that the other sections of the book, the grooves, the drum fills, the coordination section, will all go through this process faster because I'm going to be changing less in those sections because I'm pretty happy with how those sections are set up already. I'll be putting them through the, the reformatting process to make the formatting uniform throughout the book. But the material later on in those other sections, I'm mostly happy with. So there will be tweaks and changes, and there will be some things added and taken out, but a lot of it's going to remain the same. So I'm hoping, I knew the reading section was where I was kind of uneasy about a lot of it, and I wanted to make sure that I was really thorough in the reading section because I feel it's very important to be able to read and know and get exposed to all these different groupings and note values and how you can see them this way or that way, and being able to put them all together and having exercises where you're reading everything that you've learned from the beginning of the book, not just this last unit, you know. So hopefully that will remain true. And, you know, it's June, it's the middle of June. This is, you know, June 14th. So in the next several months, I'm hoping that I can get through, you know, I have my original copy laying here just to help me guide me as to what I'm doing on the computer. And I'm hopeful, and I'm pretty optimistic that I should be able to get through all the other stuff within the next couple months, at which point I can start really going back and doing like another final edit of making sure, like, okay, is this really how I want to present this material? Is this exercise necessary? Do I need to put something in here? I also need to work on the music theory section with Amanda, that might be a decent amount of work as well, because that has not even really been created yet. So that's going to be a whole section extra of making that. That was a really bad sentence. Ignore that. It's a lot of material that I yet have to just kind of create from scratch, and then I'm not in complete control of it because I'm going to have Amanda probably make a lot of those pages under my guidance because she can do the visual wizardry, and I just don't think that I want to make them entirely in Finale. I might be able to do that, and I might toy with that once we get into like how we're working those pages, but we'll see. I'm not sure. And maybe for the time being, I will just create them myself, and then at a later state, when I'm getting ready to start thinking about publishing, then I have to start thinking about visual look. Like, do I want all of the font to all of the typefaces? Amanda would be proud of me of using that instead of font. All the typefaces of the text to be just basic Finale typeface, or do I want to make it fancy with her graphic design abilities? I have no idea. I don't really know yet. I'm just trying to get the book material, the raw material, in order how I want it done. So yeah, it's gonna probably take me a couple of other months of good focused work to get a lot of this done, but I'm feeling fairly confident that I should be able to have the whole thing in a pretty substantial form, edited and critiqued by the end of the year. And then at that point, I have to decide whether or not I'm going to just take it to FedEx and have them print and bind it, or find a company online to print and bind it. Probably not FedEx, I don't know why I said that, but find a company to print it, put a binding on it, put a cover and a back and front cover on it, come up with a name, copyright it, and then just, you know, do that. Or if I want to pursue finding a publishing company that might be interested in it. I'm not really sure where that's going to go yet. I just want to get the thing finished and start printing it in one form or another so I can be done with this, and I can use this time for other things like practicing, because I'm not doing a whole lot of that right now and haven't been for a while, but that's just been a necessary side effect of everything else that I've been trying to be involved in. So the book is going well, and there's not a whole lot of other news for me right now because my life is now the $1 Million Quartet and teaching and my book. And that's really all I've got going on, and it's a full plate just for those few things. So other than that, I do want to say the opening night for $1 Million Quartet is this Saturday, June 18th. So if you live in the area, you should definitely come and check it out. If you don't live in the area but you want to come and see it, let me know, and we can set up a time over the next several months. And it'd be great to see anybody and everybody that wants to come and check out the show, because it's pretty cool. So that's the end of the video for today. Thank you for watching. I actually put these out a week away from each other. Well, how about that? May or may not do another one next week, depending on how things are going. I might give you a brief update on the book, but otherwise, I'm getting out of my crazy busy transitional period, which is when I have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm just going to be getting into playing the $1 Million Quartet for 7 months. So there's not necessarily going to be a whole lot of news going on for me to talk about. So yeah, may put one out next week. It might be 2 weeks. I'll try and think of something to put out for the video. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate everybody that watches the video. And yeah, have yourself a fantastic rest of your week. I'll see you later. Bye.